Is there ever power in not loving someone who hurt you or abused you, as opposed to saying, well, they sexually abused me and they manipulated me and they gaslighted me for decades of
Yeah,
my life and they really
that's
psychologically
right.
messed with me for 20, 30 years? I'm just going to love them, accept them for who they are, and just, not stand up for myself. Like, is there,
Here's the thing. I love that you're asking that question because it's so controversial in our. I know you had somebody on recently who has a different view on that.
how do we forgive someone who's hurt us so badly as a narcissist?
I have to tell you that something that's very important to me is that no one ever feels that they have to forgive someone for hijacking their soul.
I'm going to be meeting with her soon. We're going to do an event together.
Yes.
Okay, because Dr. Ramani, she just has a different view about this, and I love that we're going to have a conversation about it because differences are really important and
Yes.
useful.
Yes.
Okay, we don't need to stay in the us and them of things because we'll never heal that way. We will never.
It's the
heal.
and.
It's the and 100%. So I think there are people that don't want to, and they don't have to.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement. This piece that I'm talking about is loving, and it's not like, oh, no big deal. It's when you've truly healed, you're not carrying it anymore.
Yes.
Okay, so it feels different. And forgiveness, if I use the F word, forgiveness, because people get really activated by that word, is a choice. And the thing that people don't understand, and I didn't get it until a couple years ago, is the forgiveness was me releasing what I was caring about my father.
It's not forgiving his behavior.
No, it's not condoning. It was, I'm not carrying the stuff about him anymore. Forgiveness was more about me than it was about him.
Wow.
People still have a choice to do it. Oprah talks about this, forgiveness, and Tyler Perry talks about this too with all the trauma that he's gone through. So if you choose to, it's more for you. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. Some people are like, it was too brutal, it was too painful, I'm choosing not to forgive. And I'm like, that's okay. It's whatever works for you. I was lucky to have this experience that I never thought I would have, to be able to love someone. I never thought I would love somebody who harmed me. And the thing that was even a weirder bonus was I started forgiving myself for all that I had done to my kids, to my husband, to myself. So my loving him, still knowing what he did, not forgetting that, allowed me to love myself differently.
Interesting.
Because who hasn't harmed or been harmed?
Right.
This is the us and them piece that I have a mission to kind of get rid of. I know that's a big mission. I hear voices. Let me say that. I hear voices a lot. It's like love, compassion, love, connection, unity. Love, connection, unity. Bring trauma healing to the world. I'm like, shut up. It was like, stop. Unity kept coming up, and I didn't want unity to come up. I was like, oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
The divide of us and them, and the message was like unity, unity. So this was
The
where
divide is safer, right?
it's so much easier. Wouldn't you rather be on one side and blame somebody else of the other? So much easier.
Wow.
But now I'm free because I've forgiven myself for staying too long in relationships.
Right. I'm
Right?
guilty of that.
Right? But so if you choose to forgive, you release what you're caring about the other person, but it gives you an opportunity to kind of release what you're caring about yourself.
I saw this quote of yours.
Yes.
It said, trauma blocks love. Love heals trauma.
Yep.
Trauma activates an internal cascade of reactions that blocks love, connection, and creativity. And in turn, love has the power to transcend trauma, heal our pain, and reconnect us to our self, capital S, our source, and to each other. Is it possible for us to truly love ourselves and others if we're holding on to traumas?
I'm going to say we're not going to use all or nothing, and it's all degrees, okay? I am so much further along in this process than I was 20 years ago, Was I able to do 40% of that 20 years ago? Probably. Can I do 85, 90% now? Yeah. Am I 100%? Probably not, ever. Right? So yeah, that statement, like when I hear that, I was like, oh my God, that's so powerful. Like, thank you for sharing it with me. I kind of feel like it's channeled information, honestly. And I've lived it, and I've spent my whole career studying it. So yes, I think that's entirely possible. I do believe it. I believe it wholeheartedly. That's why I'm on this mission. I'm on this mission, and I'm not the only one on this mission. That I'm very clear about. You're on this mission. There's so many, we're coming together in a different way. There's all these people are coming out of the woodwork. Like the people in the ivory tower are showing up in general public. We talked about this earlier. The influencers are showing up and coming, these motivational speakers are coming together in this way, because I think it's a collective. To do this.
Yes.
And I really do think it's possible, and I'm not doing it alone, tell you that, but I'm one of the people, and so are you, that are doing this.
Yes.
I think it's totally possible, and I think that's what's going to heal.
What do you think it takes for someone to truly love themselves?
Is releasing the stuff that blocks that. That's the trauma blocks love, love heals trauma. Every time I wrote Transcending Trauma, my other book, during the pandemic. And I'd write, go for a run, right? Go for a run. I'm like such a runner. And I'd hear trauma blocks love, love heals trauma. Trauma blocks love, love heals trauma. I'm like, that is the truth. Because every time
How do you love yourself if you're blocked by trauma? How do you get rid of the trauma?
It's this cycle. It's the cycle. It's going through the 4 T's that I talked about. It's going through that. And each time you release something, you've got more capacity. In the beginning, right? Each time you release it,
you expand your abilities.
You expand your ability, and it's like this cumulative thing. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not like a Hollywood moment. It happens cumulatively. And early on, when you're super blocked, if you can find some loving connection, because you can help. It's not your responsibility to heal me, but your loving me helps me heal myself, because love is contagious. So if you are in a loving environment, you can access yours and utilize somebody else's, right? So
just as love is contagious, so is hate.
100%.
And anger.
Yes, it is.
And that's why you got to really protect your energy and your relationship with people.
Yeah.
And do your best to shift conversations, move away from those conversations.
That's right. Yeah.
And not get caught in that cycle of anger and hate as well.
That's right. It's moments. Like life happens in moments, and so does trauma healing happen in moments.